Hello and welcome back. Today we're doing a comparison between two very interesting vehicles, the 2026 Subaru Uncharted all-wheel drive and the 2026 Volvo EX30 Cross Country. Very similar vehicles, built for slightly more off-roading conditions, but there's a few differences, and that's what I want to talk about today. Let's get into it.
Guys, I've been telling you for weeks now, it's now July, and the CCAN Action Fund is running their 8th annual EV raffle. So why am I standing in front of this launch green Rivian R1T? Well, this is my buddy Alex's truck, and he actually won this during the CCAN raffle years ago. So they're back again for their 8th program this year. They're giving away 3 incredible electric car prizes, which means you could choose between a Rivian R1T or R1S, a Lucid, or a Porsche valued up to $115,000. There's a second place opportunity, which means yes, every entry, every ticket gives you 3 chances to win. The second place prize, you could choose between the highly anticipated Rivian R2, a Hyundai Ioniq, or a Volkswagen ID Buzz. And the third place is the new Chevy Bolt, the LFP one. It's a really awesome car. Again, every entry costs $200. There's only 10,000 tickets available, and they're currently undersold, which means your chances of winning are absolutely amazing. Again, a little bit undersold, and there's 3 prizes that you could choose from, which means there's 3 opportunities. You got to get in on the action. Head to evraffle.org. Each ticket's $200. It supports a fantastic program that CCAN's doing. And of course, I appreciate them sponsoring out of Spec. So show some love their way, and maybe you too could end up like Alex, driving an electric car from the raffle.
So we begin with the 2026 Subaru Uncharted all-wheel drive. If you're familiar with the Uncharted, it does come in 2 battery sizes and 2 drivetrain versions. You have the front-wheel drive, 54 kilowatt-hour battery, and you have the all-wheel drive with the 77 kilowatt-hour battery. I think this is great. We all know Subaru's ethos of off-roading, rallying. We have those long memories of WRXs doing jumps in a WRC. This is in dual motor all-wheel drive configuration, 338 horsepower, 77 kilowatt hour battery pack, I want to say, 10 to 80% in the usual 30 minutes. Interesting vehicle. I love how Subaru always puts the plastic over fenders on, plastic bumpers, and it's an Uncharted. It's more for going off-road, going off into a field. Not for full hardcore off-roading, but it will do mild to medium off-roading. And coming around to the back here, very interesting design language on it as well. And this is Subaru's, I want to say, second foray into the electric vehicle marketplace. The first one they released was the Solterra a few years ago, and now they've come out with the Uncharted. And here in Canada, the Uncharted is one of the best-selling electric vehicles, as I mentioned already, both in front-wheel drive and in all-wheel drive configurations. I just think I love what they did with it when they moved the charge port to the correct side, in my opinion. And it has a J3400 or NAX port. As I already mentioned, 338 horsepower. It's listed as a full-time all-wheel drive system. It does have the X mode, so you can do a bit more off-roading with it. And just an overall very nice, very lovely looking vehicle. Don't mind the bug splatter on it. It is a Subaru at the end of the day. And now coming up to the Volvo EX30. So I'm driving the EX30 Cross Country this week. Miranda's driving the Uncharted this week. You had the front wheel drive last week. Do you notice any differences between the two?
Absolutely not, actually. Having the front wheel versus this all-wheel drive or dual motor, there's very few changes. Yeah, there's a bit more pickup, but that's linear power for an EV. In terms of charge speeds and charge times, feels exactly the same. It has the same interior.
Yeah, it's about 150 kilowatt peak DC. The only real difference is power and the 2 different battery sizes, and obviously the range. The bigger battery has more range. I think this is listed at, what, 438 kilometers of range?
At about 95%, I'm just under the 500-kilometer range.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's about industry standard these days for a crossover of this size. But the Volvo EX30 Cross Country is where things really go to the next level. we'll just start with the numbers right away. So 69 kilowatt hour battery pack in it, 422 horsepower, 0 to 100 in under 4 seconds. Volvo listed at 3.7 seconds, which I think is absurdly fast for a vehicle of this size. And we all know Volvo's cross countries, they give it a slight lift, under floor skid plates, and you have all this wonderful black trim on it as well. I told you these two vehicles are very similar. So you have this, these lines represent a mountain range, and if you come around to this side here, you have the plastic over fenders as well. Volvo's famous Thor's hammer headlight, which I think looks fantastic. Coming around to this side, you have more of that black trim, and the cross-country trim on the EX30 is around $1,500 more than the regular EX30 Ultra trim, and I think it's totally worth going for. The only optional extras on this vehicle here are the luggage rack on top and the roof rack, which I think completes the whole overland theme of the EX30 Cross Country. Again, you have your black trim over here, prominently displayed Volvo, no mistaking it what it is. But what I noticed the other day is down here it actually says Cross Country. I noticed that the other day when I was washing it. But really, the performance is staggering on it. The Subaru has 338 horsepower. This has 422. There is a huge difference in performance between the two, and they're both very similar price in that low $50,000 Canadian range, but both different philosophies on the interior as well. We'll check that out in a moment as we'll just come around over here. And as I said, I've been driving it for the last week and I have fallen in love with it. In fact, this actually might be in my driveway soon because it's just been such a joy to drive. A bit softer suspension, a bit more compliant on the roads in Montreal, and overall just an absolutely fantastic looking vehicle. But seeing them side to side, I think they both look great. Maybe we should tell Subaru to do the same thing and put the luggage rack on top for the ultimate twinning.
Take away the aerodynamics, come on now.
Yeah, well that's the other thing. That actually costs, I think it's costing about probably 2 kilowatt hours or 3 kilowatt hours on the highway. All right, let's go have a look at the inside. Have a quick look at the EX30 Cross Country interior. As you see, the interior in here is very minimalistic design. It uses the lovely flax cloth on the dash, and everything here is very Swedish. It's very, very functional. A few other reviews have been a bit harsh on the EX30, but I think this is one of their most interesting products in quite a long time, in terms of design, driving dynamics, and in terms of power. Let's hop in. So everything in here, it's controlled by the onboard screen. The only buttons you get are for the windows, which are here. Your steering wheel is square here. We'll just put it into drive so we can center that. All right, so you have a rectangular square steering wheel. I've quite liked driving it. A few other people haven't in other reviews, but just an overall very beautiful, very quality interior, no rattles, anything like that. But everything here is controlled by your touchscreen. There's been a lot of opinions on the software in here. I haven't had any issues with it at all in the week that I've been driving it. You have your performance modes here. Driver alert, you can turn off your driver alert. That's one thing I do find though, is the driver alert is very sensitive, but again, that follows a whole ethos of Volvo's dedication to a safety, where as soon as you look away, it tells you that you're looking away. Car status here, settings, all very nice and quick to use. That's a very nice system in here. Glove box, your climate control is here. Once you get used to using it, it's very easy to use. You don't have to think about what you want to press. You just know it's going to be there. That's very lovely. Down here, obviously you have your wireless charging ports. You have some storage in here as well. However, coming to the back is where maybe it's a bit of a weakness. Well, I'm just going to jump in the back here. There's really not a lot of room for passengers back here on a long trip unless you push the seat slightly more forward. That's one of the things I don't like about it. But again, this is a very compact SUV, more for the urban market. Even myself, I find myself looking at this to actually buy it to replace one of my cars. Plenty of storage down here, and if you know Volvo, they always leave these Easter eggs. So you have your moose here, you have another moose here. Plenty of USB-C, that's fairly standard these days, and the whole flax interior follows over into the back as well. And Volvo is really focusing on the sustainability aspect of their vehicles. Most of this vehicle is made from recycled steel, aluminum, plastics, vinyl, and these materials, again, are very easy to recycle when the car is at end of life. So I'm just going to pop out of here. And I would like to say there is a Harman Kardon sound system in here as standard, which is, it sounds fantastic. Coming to the back on this side, lots of storage space, We'll just move this rag out of the way. I should have moved it before. Lots of storage space here underneath the boot floor. I have my filming gear there. That's very nice. These seats fold down, and again, you have more Easter eggs up here, telling you the loading, what you can actually load in here or not. Let's go over and have a look at the Subaru. As the rain starts to come down, we always pick the greatest days to film videos on the channel. So here, we'll jump into the Subaru. Okay, we're in the Subaru now. I will power it up. Obviously, it's not set to my driving, so I'll try to take my legs off.
Sorry.
Very, very standard Subaru interior. Very, very nice. What I do like is there is a screen in front of you, so you're always not having to glance over at the primary screen to see basic functions like speed, range, all of that stuff. Actually, on the EX60, they put a screen in front of you as well. So Volvo took care of that aspect as well if you're getting a EX60. In here, it's all fairly standard. Subaru, very easy to use. Drive select over here. You have drive modes, X mode for off-roading. Again, a rectangular steering wheel, square steering wheel. This seems to be a trend amongst manufacturers these days, which is fine. I mean, it's nice to see different kinds of steering wheels in cars again. And again, very thin as well. I like thin steering wheels. Infotainment up here, fairly standard. This is a very corporate setup here. This hasn't changed all that much, but it's functional. It works. That's what counts. However, in here, they kept a lot more physical buttons and knobs for your air conditioning, for your radio, all of that. They kept a lot more physical buttons and knobs. And just overall build quality on here is very good. You have your glass roof. However, in back is where things change differently, because there's actually room for people. There's a lot more space here. There's a lot more headroom in back. This is a bit better place to sit, I find, would be on a longer trip. But again, the EX30, it's a bit of a different ethos with how they designed it. And also, again, these are both roughly the same price in that low $50,000 range. So this is a pretty good comparison test, even if it's dragging on a bit. But this is a very nice vehicle inside, and I can see why this is selling so well in Canada at the moment. In fact, I think there's a bit of a run on them where you can't find them to buy. And we'll just go have a look at the cargo space. I expect the cargo space to be fairly good. Although loading might be a bit different because of that fastback. But again, lots of cargo space in here. Any underfloor space, probably not much. Not much at all. And you have your charging adapters over there because this does use a NAX port as well. On board this one, you have 120 volt inverter. The Volvo doesn't have that, so that's a huge advantage here. Although it is my understanding that Volvo is adding a vehicle to load function through a software update very soon. So you will have full vehicle to load as well. These are two very interesting vehicles with a very similar purpose, but how they go about it is completely different. This is aiming more towards the sport side of things. This is aiming more towards the family side of the market. But again, 338 horsepower, it still moves insanely well, but this is just really next level performance. In fact, sometimes when I'm accelerating, I'm like, why does it have so much power? I know I've mentioned this on the channel so many times about acceleration numbers, but it is really cool to have. Really nice feature to have as well. So you've driven both of these. In fact, Volvo invited you to the Canadian launch of this back in February, I believe.
Yeah.
So just give us some of your thoughts on both the EX30 Cross Country and the Subaru Uncharted.
So your thoughts aren't far off. They are extremely similar. I drove this in very different conditions. So we were on an ice lake. It was the middle of winter. It was like -30. It was full ice, full snow, versus what I'm driving this in now, which is obviously summer conditions, albeit wet. But I knew from the moment that I drove this on the ice lake that it is supremely grounded. And for me, anybody who knows me knows that I have a bit of an affinity for Subaru and their all-wheel drive and their asymmetrical system. Like it's really, they have one of the best all-wheel drive systems in the world. And even in the electric format doing the dual motor, while I haven't driven in the winter, it's grounded, it's planted, I'm sure it can do the job. But the Volvo did really, really well. And you're right in saying that this is a different market. So this is upscale, this is more luxury. It's a fancy, capable off-roader. This is there to do the job, right? It's got room. The interior is a little bit more downplayed. It's not as fancy. Like you said, this is very bare bones. This is all the buttons and knobs. This can be wiped down everywhere. This has materials that are a little bit more fancy. However, they both cater to a market that wants that range, wants that capability, wants to be able to go anywhere, anytime with the family, throw that roof rack on top, lose a bit of...
lose a lot of range with...
Lose a little bit of range.
That, yeah, but you know what? I'd rather lose even 5 or 8% of range, but it's all about the looks.
Yeah.
And I think it looks amazing.
100%.
I got a lot of comments about the roof rack setup and the overland. I was actually thinking, I'm like, oh, it would really look good with a gas can up there. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's fully electric. No, we can't do that.
Throw up some inflatable mattresses. Yeah, so honestly, driving the two while they weren't back to back, I've driven them within the same year, and they are extremely similar. Which would I go for? It really depends. Again, my heart kind of lies with Subaru, but Volvo, I think the comfort lies more here. The suspension's a little bit rougher in this one. I know you haven't driven it, but it definitely feels a little bit different. This one has a bit more of that plush feel.
Yeah, this one definitely, they obviously they raised it up a bit, and because I've driven the regular EX30 Ultra in that sand color, which I think is the better color. Yeah. The suspension's a lot softer in here. In fact, if you live in an area like I live in Montreal where there are no roads anymore, this is like the perfect rough road vehicle. I haven't driven the Uncharted. You've driven the front wheel drive.
Yes, I had that last week.
I think this is more aimed towards, in terms of a value prospect, if you're looking at it from a family purchase, I think this is aimed more towards the urbanites, such as myself. I live in the middle of the city, and this does it well, and it can go off-road. It has those capabilities. I think this, the Uncharted, but also from a value perspective, if you're buying it as a family vehicle, I think this is going to be a better family vehicle. And just the fact that it has a native NAC port, I believe Volvo is putting a native NAC port on this soon. And
just having the attachments too, like it's so nice that Subaru supplies those. I don't have to worry about where I go. And charging has been so easy. Like I've had some issues over the months and years with charging, but this thing has been absolutely perfect since the beginning. And I go back and forth from the country to the city often, and it's quite a big distance. I've only had to put a minimal amount of energy into it, and I only plugged it in overnight here at the house once, and it's been wonderful.
Which is perfect. And both similar times. The Volvo is 27 minutes to 80%. This is about half an hour. Roughly same battery size, 69 kilowatt hours, 77 or 79 kilowatt hours. Both do have access to Tesla version 3 superchargers and upcoming version 4, so that just no issues road tripping these whatsoever with supercharger access. As I said, I think from the value prospect and the fact that you can get this in 2 different battery sizes and drivetrains, and both do qualify for the $5,000 rebate in Canada. For a family vehicle, I think this is a better family vehicle, and this is better if you want more of the urban refinement, luxury, and it will do all the off-road stuff as well. The only thing I don't really like is I don't believe there is a better off-road tire option. These are both on very low rolling resistance tires.
Yeah.
And
are they both on Michelin? No.
I think those are Toyo.
These are Yoko's, these are Michelin's.
Those are Yokohama's, these are Michelin's.
Yeah.
the E-Primacy. So this is more of a low rolling resistance EV tire.
This is a Geolander.
As that is going to be. So if you are planning to do any off-roading, or you're spending more time out in a rural area with dirt roads, gravel roads, maybe get a better set of tires. That's nothing to do with the vehicles, that's just personal preference. And obviously in wintertime, we're going to re-review this in wintertime for sure with winter tires on it. And I'm pretty sure both of them are absolute beasts in the snow, especially Subaru. I've had a Subaru. I know how amazing they are in the snow. I've had a Volvo. I also know how they're really engineered for Northern Europe, Swedish engineering for wintertime. That is what they do good. In fact, if anything, that is what they are obsessed about, is the wintertime performance.
Even to the point of like, they make sure that their headlights are heated so that no ice builds up. Like those little things that they think about in terms of like cold weather testing.
Exactly.
That's all they do, right? That's where they're built.
And they're so obsessed with it, which makes it absolutely amazing. But Subaru too is still absolutely obsessed with their whole off-roading and rally heritage, where I think both vehicles are good. It just depends. Here, this is another, it depends on your use case.
Look, this is more refined. If you want more refinement and a little bit more finesse in your EV off-road capabilities in this size and segment, this is your choice. If you don't really care about all those teeny tiny little details, or the fabric being the way that it is, or, you know, just being a little bit fancier, the Subaru is your choice. This is going to do, they're going to do the same job. Just how do you want to look doing it? How do you want to feel doing it?
It would be tough for me. I mean, like I said, I'm leaning more towards the Volvo. That's for me. I've absolutely fallen. I haven't driven the Uncharted. Hopefully we'll get to drive them soon, both of them, because these are a lot of interest. There's a lot of comments on my page saying that we should do a lot of testing with this, like 10% challenge and charging test. So hopefully we'll be able to drive one soon. But I think both are excellent EVs, different ethos, but both excellent EVs at the same time.
Absolutely.
Agreed?
Yep.
All right, I think we'll end it off there, as the donkey is coming up here to probably eat the cars. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Ciao.